At work today, I had ran into an ex-coworker of mine. Before my current job, I used to work at another place of business, of course, and that's when I would say that the heavy drinking really started. I had just had the birth of my second child, and I really started drinking very heavily after I had her, and it got to the point that I was off of work for my short-term disability, and when I got back to work, I had so much anxiety. Like, I had so much anxiety that I couldn't bear talking to people, and it just happened to be that my job, that's what I did. I had to talk to people throughout the day. And it got to the point that, I would like freak out going to work because I knew like I had so much anxiety and it really freaked me out. And at first when I got back to work, I would drink at night because I just wanted to like relax from my day, just wanted to chill out from my day. But my thought of relaxing for the day would be to down 2 glasses of wine as quickly as I could, and then drink the other half a little bit later, and then drink the second bottle. That's my thought of relaxing. And then it got to the point that, I would have a drink in the morning before I went to work, just to kind of help out, a little bit of the anxiety, help out so that way I could then go to work and deal with my day. And then it escalated from there quickly, very, very quickly. It would be, I would take 2 shots in the morning, bring a water bottle, fill the water bottle full of vodka, and then have that for my lunch break. So that way, once the alcohol, kind of wore down, I had something to kind of boost my afternoon, and then I'd go home and drink again, of course. And then it went to just straight drinking all day long. I mean, I would just be completely wasted sun up to sundown, just constantly. I would have, of course, my water bottle like to the brim full of vodka. I would always bring in like another drink to work, so that way I would have my chaser in the bathroom. When I would go to the bathroom, sometimes if I didn't have the chaser, I would just drink the sink water, like just gross, disgusting stuff. And I would, just have it with me all the time. And, and then my husband started getting suspicious. He started, wondering what's going on, because I'm basically like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Like I would wake up and be normal, quote unquote, for a while. And then at the end of the day, I would just be like my split personality. Like it would just be like the other side, like the super drunk, wasted side. And he's like, who are you? Who is this person? Like, how is it in the morning you're fine, but then when you get in the afternoon, you are like completely different person. And so, I mean, I would, we would be at work and people would come over and talk to me. I would like try and hold my breath when near them, so that way I wasn't breathing near them, so that way they couldn't smell it. Like, really. I would constantly eating gum all the time, just like eating things in my mouth, but not like never food. I would never really eat any food, because I knew that if I put any food in my body, it was taking away from the effect of the alcohol. So I would eat breakfast because I was always hungover and I needed some food in my stomach so I wouldn't throw up. But lunch, dinner, I would eat very minimally because I didn't want it to mess with the effect of the alcohol. And it just got worse and worse. I would wake up in the morning and it would, I would be shaking so bad that like I would go and get my bottled vodka, and I'm like, my hands are shaking as I'm trying to take the first drink, and my body would do one of 2 things. It would either accept it and I could then get ready for work, or I'd throw up immediately. And I would get so mad that I was throwing this up. Like, I'm wasting the alcohol. Like, come on, keep it down. And I would just get so angry every time I threw up, because it's a waste. Now it's gone. Now I gotta start all over again, And it was, to the point that like I could not function without having it. And it was absolutely sad. I would black out all the time. I would have days upon work that I couldn't remember. Somebody would approach me, and somebody would come up to me and be like, "Oh, you remember what we talked about the other day?" And I'd be like, uh, and I got really, really good at, kind of playing along, and the way that I would phrase things, the way that I would say things would then prompt me to go back and remember, parts of the conversation. And then that way I could kind of like piece things together. I could kind of figure it out after a certain point. So, and then I started, like lying. I lied a lot. Like, it got to the point that I literally didn't know what story I had told certain people. Like, I would tell one story to my husband, and then I would tell the people I work with something else. And I was living two lives. Like, I literally had one life at home, and then one life that I told everybody about at work. And I mean, they were like some pretty severe lies. Like, they were like all over the top. Like, if anybody had ever like ran into my husband and like asked him, he'd be like, "What are you talking about? Like, none of this is true." So I mean, people around me knew. I would talk to people throughout my day, and they would just be like, and so I would immediately like hold my breath, put a piece of gum in my mouth, and and I would like immediately start doing things to try and cover up the smell. And so at one point, my husband became very suspicious, so I was like hiding, large bottles of vodka around the house, and I was filling up baby bottles. And, in my diaper bag, I would have a baby bottle full of vodka, and it'd be in my car. And normally people would just think that it's water in there or whatever. But, like, if my daughter had actually like grabbed one of those and tried to drink it, it would be awful. It would be the worst thing on the planet. And so I would just keep sneaking it in. Like, it was so bad. Then, it kind of escalated to the point where, people were starting to like tell on me. They were starting to approach my boss and be like, something's not right. Something's not right. And so I got, pulled into the office one day because I was so drunk that I couldn't even stand. And I was leaning up, against the wall as I'm trying to down some water, get some food in my stomach, because once I got to that point, I needed something in my stomach to just, kind of like level it off. And my boss was asking me what's going on. And then, of course, once again, I'm telling 1,000 lies, talking my way out of it. And, they just wanted to make sure that I was okay. Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And then the next time that someone had mentioned something, we were allowed to, bring our purses and stuff into work. And so my boss ended up looking in my purse and seeing a water bottle in there. So they opened it and smelled it and realized it was just straight vodka. So then they approached me again, asking what's going on, what's happening, what is all this? And when I had saw them, leaving our break room, my mind knew that something was up. And I took the vodka and I went and dumped it down the sink, and I filled that water bottle with water. And I was gonna play like you didn't smell that. I spilled hand sanitizer in my purse. You must have smelled the hand sanitizer. No, it's a terrible lie. Terrible lie. So then at that point, they had given me the ultimatum, like, you need to stop doing this. And if we catch you again, we are going to give you a drug test. And in my stupid drunk mind, I agreed to it. I was like, no, you're good. Like, I'm okay. This is a one-off kind of thing. And so I had agreed to it. And then, I tried to sober up. I tried to stay away from it as long as I could. I think I lasted like 2 days. I was shaking at work. I was sweating profusely. Just a hot mess. Angry, mad, like just would fly off the handle. And I was just at my ultimate, like, low, like really low. And I didn't think it could get any worse. So once again, came into work, already pissed drunk. Still had more vodka with me, still was sneaking it in, but I was trying to hide it in better ways. And, once again, someone had mentioned something, and I got pulled into my boss's office. And she said, this is it, you need to go get a drug test. And they had called an Uber for me to go get a blood test to test how drunk I really was. And when I got into the car with the Uber, I actually ended up paying the Uber person $30 to take me straight home. Like, who does that? Like, who in their right mind actually does that? Not a sober person. And they brought me home, and my boss tried to call me later. I ignored her calls, and that night, my husband came home, found out what happened, and we got into, of course, a huge fight. And then once we're fighting, I'm drinking even more. And the sad part is that, like, I was like ecstatic to be home, so that way I could just sit at home and drink all day and not be bothered. Like, that was like the best idea ever. Like, stupid, absolutely stupid. That night I had fallen, hit my head, and I don't remember any of it. Completely blackout. The only thing that I do remember was just sitting on the toilet, and there's just blood like splattering on my legs. And my husband came home, saw it, thought it was a freaking murder scene, blood everywhere. He tried to clean me up, and the next day he immediately said, this is it. Like, you cannot do this anymore. And I checked into rehab the next day. I spent 5 weeks in rehab, went to treatment, and when I got out of rehab, of course, I was immediately fired. They couldn't fire me while I was in rehab because of short-term disability and the laws and everything else to go with it, so they couldn't fire me. But there were very few people that still reached out to me after I'd gotten out of rehab because they like truly cared. And that was one of the people that I ran into today, and it was just nice to see him because like, after all the idiot stuff that I did, and after how I acted and how I like reacted to a lot of people, it was so nice to see him today. And he gave me a big hug, and was asking like, how are things going? And I'm like, they're going great. Like, I mean, they could always be better, but at least I'm sober today. That's all I can ask for. And so it was refreshing, to see them again. And he knew what was happening. He knew because I told him after the fact, and he still wanted to be my friend. And it's insane. Like, who wants to hang out with somebody who is just an absolute mess? And so it was nice. It was a good day. I'm glad that I got to see him. I'm glad to know that we actually now are, both working for the same company. And so now I'm going to be able to talk to him every day and just kind of see how his day going and kind of catch up and stuff. But it was a surprise, and it was like one of the best surprises I've had. So I don't know. So now I just need to, take the grace that I got today, and I need to turn it around and give it to somebody else because, I'm having a great day. Why shouldn't somebody else have a great day? And I'm excited that, I'm going to get to go to a meeting tonight. I'm going to be able to tell my story, and I know I'm just being selfish and being like, guess what I got today, but, I'm excited to, then share this happiness with someone else. And, I hope that everybody else gets to have one of those moments where you just are so ecstatic to, see someone again. And, it was unexpected, and it just makes me think, like, is this my higher power telling me that I'm on the right track? Because, I mean, I could have easily ran into that person today, wasted, drunk, and, because I met him while I'm sober, that makes me think that I'm supposed to be sober, and I'm gonna continue to be sober. I woke up this morning sober, I'm gonna go to bed sober. That's all I can handle is the next 24 hours, and I've only got another 10 hours of my day, so if I can just not drink for the next 10 hours, that's a good day. So